Jake finally got to see something out of Chris Likes. Devo didn't finish the game, and Arkansas beats Northern Iowa by a score of 93-80. Welcome to Arkansas basketball recap. Jake, I'll start by saying this. I do believe that Musselman was 100% correct when he said that this was going to be the best team that we had played so far. I think that was the best team out of the three that we've played. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, that was a real legitimate game right there. I mean, that was a nail biter all the way where and the way they were shooting threes, it was like, I didn't believe that they had that game until they got up by until they started to foul and they got up by like 10, because even when they'd pull ahead by 4 and then the guys come down and hit 2 threes like in 30 seconds and you'd be down by 2. Yeah. And like I said, I'm still not 100% sure. That definitely is a good team. I mean, they were good inside and out. Their action was amazing. They like basically okey doked us on hitting threes, and then once we started stepping out on threes, started back cutting. But
you might get like suckered into looking at the record, be like, wait, they were 1 and 2, so what's up with that? That was the first game that they had played with their full roster, so they had players hurt, and they hadn't played with their that Green hadn't even played yet until till that game. That obviously makes a huge difference. I know that I saw some people that seemed like they're like, man, I don't know, Arkansas, like that was too close, and I don't know. That I think that's the kind of team that if you listen to them, I don't know if you listened to the press conference, but Musselman just seemed like real happy to win that game, and he's like, "That's a legitimate team, and we won. I don't know what you want from me. Like, we beat a team that I think has a chance of winning their conference and might be playing in March. That's what we won. So that's what we hit. Yeah, I mean, he had some critiques. Obviously, when a team's first 15 points are three. I mean, so they had their first 15 points from the 3-point line. They had 5 threes in the first 9 minutes.
It was unbelievable, dude. I could not believe it.
24 of the first 26 points were threes.
No, I know. It was 8 threes and 1 2 to start the game.
And they had 9 threes in the first half. 17 threes altogether, I believe. So, I mean, and
it was a lot of different guys. I mean, there was obviously those 2 guys. The one guy had 7, or maybe he ended up with 8. And then there was the guy that was the sharpshooter who you just mentioned, who came back, and he obviously, you could tell, was like their main shooter, but he didn't shoot as well as that other guy. Yeah. But still, he hit 3 or 4, and then the other guys all hit him too. Even the big man hit some.
I mean, they were 17 of 37. Now they jacked up 37 threes. That's still like 46%. And you don't want a team to shoot 46% from the 3-point line from you. A team, like, you might have a guy that shoots that well. I mean, if you shoot that well on a season, you're like one guy that you're probably the best 3-point shooter in the country. You don't want to play a game where an entire team goes off on you for 46%, especially if they're shooting more than 3 of them. So if you're shooting 46% and you jacked up 37 of them, you made a lot of them.
You almost lose.
You do almost lose. And here's the thing, like, I mean, Muss was like real upset, obviously, about the 3-point defense. And I'm watching the game. I'm trying to watch it. And he talked about, Stanley Amude. He's talked about Chris Likes, the new guys not guarding the 3 the way they should. And there was some of that where you're like, dude, they are getting those guys open. Don't leave those guys. And then there was other ones where you're like, well, I just don't know, man. Like, because that's just, I mean, I've played enough basketball to know, like, sometimes a dude gets rolling and you're like, well, and I think that's the important thing about, you don't want to get a team feeling themselves from the 3-point line. You have to start out playing intense defense on the three, because if a guy gets hot, it is over at that point. Because if a dude's just going to pull up from that far, with a dude in his face, there's not a lot you can do. You don't want him to get in that rhythm. You got to start playing 3-point defense out the jump, because you don't want to get a team warmed up, because once a team like that gets hot, it doesn't matter how good a defense you play anymore. Everything half of what they throw up is going in.
Yeah, 3-pointer. I mean, I remember Lauren Bernstein once said, 3-pointer is the white man's dunk, and I mean, but now the 3-pointer is everybody's dunk. I mean, it's the alley oop that gets the crowd pumped. Like maybe not just one, but there is a energy that starts going through a team, just like you see when a guy gets a fast break and someone throws a sick alley oop to him. When a team starts to have multiple guys stroke it, and it just they all start feeling themselves, and then that's when like you see big guys start hitting the threes, and guys that maybe don't shoot that high a percentage start to just chuck them up there and they go in. And I agree with you. That's why. And some of these guys' releases nowadays are so fast and so high that I've played with lots of basketball players where, there's somebody like that we play with that's a sharpshooter or whatever, and you're like, do not, if you're going to guard him, do not let him shoot. And they still sag in or they ball watch a little bit, and then when the ball swings to their man, they're right there. I mean, they're jumping out at him, and it's like, and then you turn around, they're like, there's nothing I can do. And it's like, no. With certain guys, that's not guarding the three. Just because your hand almost hits the ball and is in his face, that's 90s defense.
Yeah.
Today, you have to be there when he catches the ball.
Yeah, and all up in his face. You have to be willing to have your doors blown off because you're guarding him ridiculously close and he's going to go around you. You have to you have to give him not enough space to bring the ball up. Like he can't get into the shot. That's how you guard some of those kind of shooters. Like they catch the ball like this and you're like right here and they're not even going to be able to get the ball, but there's not enough space between you and them for them to bring the ball up to shoot it. That's how you have to guard that. Now,
yeah, I mean,
you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat guarding guys like that off on the drive, but you're just willing to give it up at that point. Like you're saying, I'm trusting help defense at that point, but I am not going to allow this guy to do that to me because threes are worth more than twos.
And then that for like what got those guys rolling, like you said, there was some of those shots that were later that were like that, especially from those two guys that because they had such high that one dude that white dude has such a high release. What was his name? The guy that came off the injury?
Green, yeah.
Did they say double hip surgery? Holy moly.
Something crazy.
But his release was so high. But then some of those other guys, it was the thing that we've been dealing with before. And I was starting to watch it this time. And a couple of our guys, like Amude and stuff, they are ball watching. They're watching their likes and those guys guard that guy, and they're the one they're out of position because they're not in any position to help. It's like if they were on the other side, they'd be the guy trying to sag down and help on that. But they're on the opposite side that the ball's being driven to, and they've got their back turned, and they're neither guarding. They're neither fish nor foul. They're not guarding the 3-point line, like they're 10 feet off of their man so that they can help. But that ball's not on their side. You know what I mean? So, and there were several times where they drove all the way in, and then they do that thing where they deep baseline swing it to the corner, and our guy's ball watching, and then he's doing the thing that I'm saying. He's diving out there, but it's too late. Once those guys catch the ball and you're not there, the ball's up.
I feel like you don't see that happen to like Devo, and maybe even Note as much. And I think Musselman has said as much that that's happening to the newer guys more. It seems like Devo and Note and those guys, that's not happening to them. But I do think this though. I thought Arkansas, what we saw from them was actually pretty encouraging because they were in like a 40-minute or a 37-minute fist fight, and they went blow for blow. And yeah, it's Northern Iowa, but that's a game that's easy to lose. It is easy to lose that game, and they didn't. And they had to hit some big shots, and they had to make plays, and they had to get stops at certain times, and they did all of those things. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be encouraged. I do think that Musselman has, I don't know if he has got the starting lineup figured out, but I think he's narrowed in on a rotation. He played 8 guys. I think that those are the 8 guys, unless someone gets hurt, that you're going to see play. That seems like that's what it's going to be. And I think all of that's good. I think that they're starting to figure some stuff out. And I think that they played as a team better in that game than the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the skeptic in me is still concerned because that team didn't have amazing athletes or anybody that was like stupid fast, or I mean, they did have good shooters apparently. I
Their
mean,
their
we'll see
their move
unless it was some kind of anomaly.
their movement without the ball was really good.
Which is what I mean, exactly what that kind of a team has to do. I mean, the Missouri Valley, they're like one of those teams that has second tier players, but they just really coach them up on their system, and they were very good at that cutting and played very well as a team. But the encouraging side is, I would say, I kind of suspect that team is going to be really good, and I think that they shot better than they're going to for most of their games. I don't think they're going to shoot like, I mean, I think they're going to be a really good shooting team. I think they're going to probably be known as a dangerous shooting team, but I don't think they're going to shoot quite like, not all those guys are going to shoot quite like that.
No,
Like
they'd
you
be the
said,
best shooting. They'd be the best 3-point shooting team in the history of college
right.
basketball if they did that every night.
So in spite of the fact that, I mean, if I'm looking at the positive side, in spite of the fact that that team was really well coached, they shot super well from the 3-point line, and our best defender in a close game got ejected with, was there 12 minutes left or?
Yeah.
And that scared me.
Yeah.
I was very concerned about that. And then
Jalen Williams gets hurt.
And then Jalen Williams gets hurt. And all of that. And the other thing that doesn't show up is we missed so many bunnies.
We did.
I mean,
we did.
Maybe they weren't quite bunnies. Some of them were like almost just should have been flushes. And but some of them were
like all kinds of stuff, just rebound, putting it back in.
I should have went back and counted them. It must have been 12 or 14. I'm not joking. There was at least 6 or 7 in the first half where some of them, like I said, were literally no excuse bunnies, but some of the other ones were still like catch the ball with the best position, super deep, and the guy gets up there and starts seeing ghosts. Like all you got to do is lay it up, and he thinks he's about to get hit, and he just throws it over the backboard. It's like we easily could have had another. Now, to be fair to them, they missed a few too in the second half. They had a couple that I was like, thank God that. But I felt like more of those that was when the defense was starting to get really frantic, and they, we had something to do with them missing those. There was several. We probably left 16 to 20 points at, inside the paint that we could have had. And it's like, so I feel pretty good about the fact that you won a game where, I mean, that's a recipe for losing. To lose to a team at home that's, maybe inferior to you, one of the recipes to do that is let them shoot really well from the 3-point line, miss a bunch of point blank shots in the paint, and then have 2 of your best players leave the game in the second half. It's like, that sounds like exactly how you lose that game. And the fact that they didn't is, that's, if you're looking on the positive side.
Yeah, I know. I think that was exactly the right kind of game to get you ready for like some Power 5 games. I mean, so next week we're going to be playing Kansas State and either Illinois or Cincinnati, and I think that's a great game to get you ready for that game. A game that's on the line the whole game. I mean, the whole game is tight, so you're just having to play with that pressure the whole game, and then having some adversity, not being able to put exactly the lineup you want out there and still finding a way to win. I think all of that is really positive as the game before the game that you have to go, play a Power 5 opponent in a neutral site. You're not at Bud Walton. You're not going to have the crowd. That all that kind of stuff. I am interested. Let's talk about Devo real quick. Devo, I thought, was playing pretty great. I liked what he was doing. He was I felt like he was being the point guard. That was looking better. And I love Devo. I love everything about his game, but also like, don't do that. Like, just don't, you can't do it, man. Like, just don't do it. Like, you got to know how important you are and not do that. I mean, it wasn't like horrible or like, no one's gonna get hurt or anything like that. It's just dumb, man. Like, don't do. And I know, like, who knows what was going on before that? I don't know what was said. I don't know what was done. I don't think that just dropped out of the sky. Like, he was just like, I think I'm just going to shove this dude into the bench over here. That's not how that stuff happens in basketball. I don't know what happened, but obviously something happened. But dude, you gotta just not do that. Like, not in a close game. Like, we need you on the floor.
I don't know if it was the same exact guy, but there was definitely, because I heard Manny announcing say something earlier where there was where that guy put a shoulder into somebody and he goes, ooh, and he said, and he referenced that somebody said something on the floor like, that's not going to work, or we're going to get that, we'll get you back on that, or something like that. So there was definitely something that happened there. And that happens all the time. I mean, that's happened in pickup games where like somebody does something and in your head you're like, okay, next time I set a screen and that guy's involved, he's getting a little extra screen. And it's like, but that's how you have to do it. You can't do it that blatantly in the backcourt when the refs are just watching you and just run into the guy. You have to, and sometimes most of the time, it doesn't present itself even in that game. It's the baseball strategy where like, you can't necessarily when something happens you don't like, you don't throw at the very next batter's head.
Right.
You do it the next game with a different pitcher. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they should do that, but I'm saying you've got to wait till the opportunity presents itself where that guy is down next to you and you're boxing out, or he's coming around a screen that you're about to set. And that's when you give him the shoulder, the hip, or you box out a little ridiculously hard. You know what I mean? You stick an elbow in the ribs or whatever. And it's like, or even if he's driving and you hip check him a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be in the context of a basketball play. It can be even as aggressive as maybe you get a flagrant one called on you because it's a pretty harsh foul. But and I don't know if I agree with that being a flagrant two.
Yeah.
But because he didn't use his arms, you know what I mean? Like, I think the flagrant two, you have to like shove, elbow, hit it. He did just like go into him body to body, but so I think it was probably maybe could have been a flagrant one. But at any rate, when you take that risk when you make that blatantly, and he's got to be smarter. He's too important on defense.
Yeah, but I like the way that he was playing. I would have liked him to play more than 23 minutes. That's a problem. We're going to need you to play more minutes than that normally.
Yeah, because he was hitting threes and stuff. I mean,
he was great. I mean, in the 23 minutes he played, he had 10 points and 4 rebounds, and he was 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. We would that'd have been helpful. Now, transitioning from that though, so that just meant that Likes was going to have to play 31 minutes this game, and Likes was great. I think that's what you were asking for. Just like, show me a little something, and and he showed you a little something. I mean, he offensively, he got it going when we really needed somebody to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, especially he hit some big shots obviously in the second half near the end too. But that's why it's like player of the game, and this one's going to be impossible because there were so many people involved and so many big plays. And I mean, Likes started it out. I mean, when they were hitting all those threes, Likes had that brief 5-minute period where he was the one keeping us in that game, or keeping us, right there with them. And then he cooled down, and then Note stepped in the second half of the first half, the last 10 minutes of the first half, and he all of a sudden, and was like, where, he hadn't really done anything, hadn't been involved. And all of a sudden, I mean, he had that one string where he made an amazing pass, he had an amazing assist, and then he had a steal, and then he had a 3, of course, and then he jacked up like a 40-footer for no reason, like coming down the court. But that's just what's going to happen when Note plays good. But how about
the steal that Note had when he's just like, I'm going to just seal this thing up, and just that's like Note's defense, like his on-ball defense, is so great, dude.
Not to poo-poo that, but because he was playing good defense, he was staying in front of him. If you watch that back though, in live, it looked like he got the ball out of there like he did, because he was just like right there, and it looked like he did that thing where he got just a tiny piece of it and it back tapped it, and then he was able to get it, and that guy had to foul him. He really just stood in front of that guy, which is, I mean, good defense, and that guy just fumbled the ball between his legs. He tried to dribble between his legs and it hit the back of his foot or whatever, and then like he couldn't recover it, and then the ball literally like went off his heel and went backwards. Note never touched it, and it's still good defense. But I don't know if it was as good a defense as, I mean, it was just a big moment because it basically sealed the game.
I just mean in general, even if you take that play aside, like Note is a weird player that, something you could get real annoyed with him for certain shots, but I find it hard to get irritated with guys that play so hard on defense. Like, it's just weird that a guy that's that offensively minded, it's rare that because he's not just like a guy who plays hard on defense. He is a good defender.
Yeah, well, and that was his best game that I've ever seen him play, I think, because he started out deferring.
He was 7 of 14, 50%. Right.
He let Chris Likes was going off, and he appeared to completely defer and just be willing to. It's not like he did one of those things where it's like he got all butt hurt or something and stopped playing defense.
Here's why is that, I mean, Note was 7 of 14. He played 39 minutes. He played all but 1 minute. I think he actually played all but 12 seconds of the game. So he has 17 points. But here's how you know it's his best game: is he had 8 rebounds and 9 assists.
That's what I was gonna say. Is the assists, like, they were doubling him. A lot of times when he would drive, they would double him, and he was finding guys. Like, I didn't think he could. I mean, I think I said it in the last couple of podcasts, but like, I wasn't sure if he had that vision for passing. He seemed like you'd almost rather him shoot once he gets into his move, because he knows where the basket is, but he doesn't necessarily have that mapping mind for where every player is. But he found all kinds of guys and he made some really good passes out of the double teams.
He made some really good passes out of the post being double teamed.
Well, he made that one to, I think it was it Tony
Tony got a dunk with I didn't see him coming. Like, it was I didn't even know he was there.
Well, and the 3 to, was it Amude or Tony that he threw that he went down and he was like, oh no, covered up all the way in the baseline, and all of a sudden he just like jumped out of bounds and threw it to the corner, which is what they had been doing quite a bit.
Yeah, Tony hit that, yeah.
And then he also, I mean, it looked better live than when they showed the replay, but I actually was like, said out loud, oh, sick pass, because it was early in the game when Vanover was in, which we can talk about, but Vanover got great position, got really deep, and then turned to the inside and one-armed bullet pass, which I was very glad that Connor was able to catch. And it was like, I mean, it was a great look. So
Note was great. Likes was great I love Likes off the bench. I'm also going to kind of talk about that too. I think off the bench is perfect. Likes is going to play Note's role from last year. I mean, so I think Likes is going to be a dude like, hey, I'm about to be 6th man of the year in the SEC. I'm going to come off the bench, and that's going to be the role. If you can embrace that role, I think he's the perfect guy to do it. Obviously he's a little bit of a defensive liability. So maybe it's better if you're bringing like this offensive spark plug off the bench, but if he can, I mean, he's going to play minutes, and he's going to be, and when he's in there, he's going to be able to get up shots. So I thought Amude played better. He played 29 minutes, but he had 10 points. He had 9 rebounds, in 29 minutes. It's great. Now I would, Vanover played 5 minutes, played 5 minutes.
What'd you think of that?
Well, and you thought that was maybe the kind of game that he would play in, because it wasn't like that team was wanting to run and gun that much. I don't know if because of all the cutting and switching and backdoor dives, if that's just not good for him or what. I think Connor's just gonna be a very situational player. I didn't think he was bad when he was out there.
No, I mean, he had a couple of buckets, and but I mean, I wasn't sure if it was that they spread the floor so much and they could apparently all were willing to take shots that you just can't have Connor guarding. We need the other team to have some big guys that are traditional big guys for him to at least, so he can at least roam inside the 3-point line, inside the paint area. If he's going to he can't be being brought out to cover 3-pointers or even pick and rolls out at the 3-point line, because he's just not quite fleet of foot enough. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Connor's going to be a situation. Awesome alliteration. Fleet of foot enough. I'm going to get that on a shirt.
Here's the thing. Connor's going to be a situational player. I think that's pretty clear. So he's going to have games where he doesn't play hardly at all. Maybe not at all. and he's gonna have games where he's player of the game because
Mhm.
and that's and maybe not a lot of in between. Like in the games that you can use him, he's gonna be great. There's gonna be a lot of games where you can't. And I think that that's probably what it is. We'll see if he's down with that. I would think he understands it. Like he understands that that's the way that is. Um, but I don't know. I see. I actually think you talk about player of the game is impossible. I think it's kind
Ja-
of easy.
Jalen Williams.
I think it's Jalen Williams, and like, and here's why. He played 24 minutes. Like, obviously, he was hurt. He had 11 points. He had 6 rebounds. He had 7 assists. But the thing about him was he got like first of all he got hurt. It didn't like lay down on the ground and like tell the ref that he like needed to come out or whatever. That dude like hobbling up and down the floor. He comes out. This is the big thing about Jalen Williams. First of all, Jalen Williams leads the team in assists by like quite a bit.
Mhm.
In another 7. This game was tied with 4 minutes left at 72. And that is the exact moment. It was tied when Jalen Williams came back into the game. And when he came back into the game, hello 12-0 run. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Like they were, it was. I think if Jalen Williams doesn't come back in this game, I don't think we. I'm not saying we wouldn't have won. I don't think we win by 13.
Yeah, I mean, he was directly responsible for it. Wasn't even I mean, like one of these mysterious, well, energy or just those intangible things. I mean, he literally had a block that was like a sure layup where that guy had head
Mhm.
faked and it was from behind and it was a 100% sure
Mhm.
layup. So
He
uh,
scored.
and then he scored and he made some good
Yeah,
passes.
and you got
He
he
and
assisted.
he
Yeah, he assisted on two of the other shots. He also like they tried to go at him because they knew he was hurt. That did not work.
yeah,
And
no, I mean it.
you could tell he was hobbled, man. He wasn't just like, oh, it's kind of uncomfortable. This dude is hurt. This dude cannot jump. Like at that point, I just think if you're in a game where you're like, ooh, I don't know, a lot of people played good. You're like, that was so gutsy. That I
Well, I
think it's
like that
pretty easy.
Musselman let him go out there too. I mean,
Mhm.
apparently they said, well, you're not going to hurt this worse. And because he was so hobbled, you would think that maybe, they would be like, well, we don't want to make this worse or put him out there and make him suffer. And they let him hobble around. And like I said, I do think he was a calming presence.
Mhm.
Like he seemed to make everybody excited but I mean, like give them some energy, but also calm them down. And I think without Devo out there, they needed that. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, they did well. To be fair to those guys, they did well while those guys were out. But like you said, I mean, they didn't do as well as you would. I mean, it was still neck and neck
It's
in anybody's
He
game.
came out and they kept it. They kept it close and they were right there. Like I said, I mean, 4 minutes left. It's 72 all. Um, and Jalen been out for a little bit, and he comes in, and I don't, and maybe it's just that sort of thing. They see like Jalen comes in, and maybe there's just sort of this galvanizing team thing. It's like, all right, Jalen's coming back in. He's hurt. Like we're gonna do this.
Hmm.
Like if Jalen's gonna play hurt, then we're gonna win this game. And I just, I mean, I don't know how you, if you're a Razorback fan, how you can't not like Jalen Williams.
Hmm.
I mean, and I know that he's like my kind of basketball player. Like I don't know, maybe that let me say like some people love like super flashy basketball players. Maybe you know who I don't know whoever your favorite whoever your favorite Arkansas basketball player is all the time. You're like, oh, I just love the dude that hit. I love Dusty Hannah because he hit all the threes, whatever.
Isaiah
Uh,
Joe.
Isaiah Joe, whatever it is. Like Jalen Williams is like my kind of basketball player where I'm like, that's my guy. I love those kind of players. I think those kind of guys, they're always like their plus minus is always like through the roof. And they're the kind of dudes that like if you're playing pickup ball, you're like, how come that dude's team always wins? Like no matter which team it's on, like he's on, it doesn't matter. Like he can have like a not like a you have a stacked team, but like if he's on that team, like they win, but he's not one of the first guys picked or anything like that. That's the kind of player that Jalen Williams is. So I thought that he was great. I mean, it was hard. It
Hmm.
was pretty tough not to root for that.
Yeah, and one thing I will say that I can't really explain that is different with this coaching staff and maybe I don't know what it is. I feel like it's real though. There's something about, I mean, obviously they lose sometimes, but not that much. And I mean, so
Yeah.
far. And there is something about like in that game. I mean, it was exciting and I was on the edge of my seat and I was nervous, but I felt differently about it than I did when Anderson was coaching because it was like, I
I would
mean,
have thought we were
I,
losing that game for sure back
that's what
then.
I mean. Like I always felt with Anderson, like no matter how, I always assumed we were going to lose.
Mhm.
Whereas with Musselman, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's the attitude or the spirit or whatever you want to call it, but it just feels like you go, he's not going to let these guys loose.
Yeah.
He's going to get them over there on a timeout and he's going to enforce his will into them and they're going to then go out there on the floor and no matter whether it's ugly or whether they hit some threes, whatever it is, like they're going to do whatever they have to do in this last couple of minutes to win this game. And most of the time that works.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can't really put my finger on exactly what that is, but I never feel as pessimistic about our chances now, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, and just we Musselman is great at second half adjustments. Now maybe Arkansas has a habit of starting slow. That's been sort of their MO, but maybe that is just by starting slow, we mean like, well, Musselman hasn't seen what he needs to see to make the adjustments yet. And when he does, like we turn it on.
And actually that game, I wouldn't say we started slow that game. I would say, I
But
mean,
we just started.
defensively, maybe.
That was just haymakers being thrown from the jump, man.
Yeah, that was actually one of the games where I thought offensively, it wasn't that frustrating. It wasn't like, oh my God, is anyone going to make a shot? Although they did miss some of those layups, which was frustrating. But offensively, it was just like, I was just excited that we were keeping up because those guys were just,
Yeah.
could not believe it.
Yeah,
Dude.
that's the thing. A team makes that many threes, you should lose that game.
Yeah,
And we didn't. You got so you got to take it. Like you're like, hey, that's if you told me beforehand that team's gonna make 17 threes, you think we win? I'd be like, probably not. Like, because usually you don't win if a team makes 17 threes.
I just couldn't believe that. I mean, when they said when it was 20, when I looked up and it was 24, no, 26, and I was like, 26 points. They have one layup
Mm-hmm.
and 8 3-pointers.
Yep.
That is insane. It just be also because of it seems so weird because of how ironic mostly what people have been talking about is our bad 3-point defense. And I was like, how is this happening?
But Musselman seemed like genuinely confused about how this is happening. Like he's like, I don't know what they're going to be doing this week in practice. But I'm guessing that they're going to be doing just more of that. They either try some different 3-point defensive drills, but he seems very much like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. We're doing the same stuff. I don't know how you go from first in the nation to like 300th in the nation when you're running the same drills. I mean, I know it's different personnel and that's it, but it's like, but and here's the thing though. I think that they'll probably figure it out too.
Well, and some of it, like I said, I don't feel great about it because some of those guys that are giving up good looks, but you never know. Some of it could be, I mean, I remember I always use this as an example, but that season that the Bears defense, people were like, is this the greatest defense of all time? Because they had I think they had 15 interceptions in like 4 games. And I watched all those games and I remember going, yeah, but like 80% of those were not extraordinary defense. It was like a ball went off a guy's shoulder pad and went into Tillman's hands. You know what I mean? And now some of them, the guy walked up and punched the ball out, but I was like, that was like 25 to 30%. I was like, that's not, some of these are opportunistic and it's like just a coincidence that they're all clustered together in this short period. And sure enough, they had like 15 in the first 4 games and they ended the season with like 21. You know what I mean? And it just slowed down. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen here, but like teams may not continue to. It could be just a 3-game stretch where teams have just lit us up, and that may flatten out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and I do think that they will get better. I think they will because Muss is that kind of coach. Like he's not gonna allow them to not get either you're gonna get better at defending the 3 or you're not gonna play. And so I mean he's gonna get some of that figured out. Real quick as we wrap up here. So Hogs play on Monday, going on a neutral site game against Kansas State. They're playing a tournament there in Kansas City. How concerned are you about Jalen Williams?
I don't know. It didn't. I mean, he came back out, so it can't be that bad. And it's nice that they don't have a game on Saturday, so they've got 2 extra days. I suspect he'll be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I'm assuming that it's just a minor ankle sprain, and they'll.
The extra time does seem like a good thing, because if he was having to play Saturday against, you know, Louisiana Monroe or something, you have to think, I'm sure, real hard about not playing him if you were going to play on Monday against Kansas State.
Well, especially because this was a lot of times we play our games on Tuesday, and so this is later in the week. If they had to play on Saturday, it'd probably be a mid-afternoon game. And yeah, you're talking about it's the fact that it's on Saturday evening is, I mean, it's 2.5 extra days of healing.
Mhm.
That's a lot when you're talking about ankle sprains. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll tape it up and he'll probably be okay, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this. If he's not, that won't be good. Because I
No,
definitely am
I
not
don't know
into.
how good. What's Kansas? I haven't even looked. What's their record?
I
Kansas
haven't
State.
even looked at Kansas State's record, but I just know this: I'm not interested in going to play Power 5 teams without Jalen Williams on the floor.
No, no. I mean, I'm excited about it because I think, I mean, that was fun. It was fun to watch them,
Yeah.
be competitive and really get some tested at some point.
Yeah. And I do think I agree with you. I we'll see how it goes, but I'll be keeping an eye on it. But I do have a feeling that Northern Iowa is not going to be a team that is junk all year. I think that's a pretty good team we beat.
Yeah, I think they'll probably win the Missouri Valley again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we'll just leave it right there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hey, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, and you can find Arkansas Basketball Recap on all the social media, so you can go follow it there and know when new episodes drop. And we'll see you after the Kansas State game. See you then, man.
And we're planning on there's gonna be hopefully multiple games next week, so we might be busy, right? We'll probably try to drop one if we can after every game.
Yeah, so there's a Monday game and a Tuesday game either way, and so we'll try to get those out quick.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
See you, man.
See ya.
Have a good one.